Hey everybody, welcome to your Libra horoscopes for the week of August 13th through 19th. No planets in Libra this week. Now, we do actually have the moon coming in like very early on, midday, coming into your sign right at the end of the week. So we're literally talking like early, not earlier on in the morning, but like early in the afternoon, so to speak, depending on where you are. It could be earlier in the morning for you. So we are literally ending the week with it, but for the rest of the week, there really is no influences outside of Ceres, which does continue to influence Libra to a certain extent. The way that this is playing out is actually very interesting for you guys, because Ceres' focus continues to be on inner trauma, which is difficult. And Libra's focus is now very much on cleaning out that trauma closet, if that makes sense. So Ceres being such a maternal influence, in some cases, it's showing that it's nurturing for you. You're nurturing yourself and your inner child by cleaning out this closet. In some cases, it's representing the very maternal issues that maybe you grew up with, because Ceres is a maternal influence. So this could be that you are releasing trauma around your mother as well. With the moon coming in at the very end of the week, in the birth charts, the moon sometimes, depending on its influence in the chart, sometimes the moon represents the personality of the individual's mother. So we have this maternal influence coming in to back this up again, only the moon's influence is really going to stay in your support system when it does come in right at the end of the week. So we're talking about specifically whether or not you're receiving support through these issues. Now, the moon is kind of working in different ways with different planets. So we're going to talk first about the moon's opposition with Neptune, another very feminine and maternal planet. Really bizarre, right? Really weird. In terms of this opposition, Neptune's focus is on those you love. So I feel like in some cases, this is going to be the trigger that really starts you digging out this stuff in the closet. And most of us, when we get triggered, we don't want to get in there and start cleaning out the closet. That's not our intention when we get triggered. When we get triggered, the instinct is to lash out. And the instinct is to generally point the finger at the other people that have harmed us in some way, and not necessarily work through the problem, the feelings, and yada, yada, yada of the original situations. When you make the choice to do that and work through your triggers, you have a completely different experience. Whereas if you just react to your triggers over and over, the result is always the same. You're not learning, you're blaming somebody else. Whereas when you work through your triggers, you're understanding why you feel the way that you feel. And you're giving yourself the opportunity to either keep it in the closet or release it. Releasing it definitely means accepting that the situation happened, learning, accepting the lessons around that situation. For example, I did grow up with a certain amount of abuse as a child, various different forms, dealt with narcissists, dealt with gaslighting, dealt with sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, mental abuse, you name it. Okay. There was a lot of it, is what I'm trying to get at here. Now, when I am dealing with somebody currently who triggers any of those forms of abuse and how that specifically made me feel, My choices are to react to it, which is generally to release my anger towards this person who's triggering them. It doesn't always go over very well because depending on the situation that we're in currently right now, it could be detrimental to something else that I'm really working on. So if I'm getting triggered at work, for example, me reacting to that is really going to creep out my client. And then I'm probably going to lose that client, honestly. Even if even if I explain and apologize and everything, that client is going to look at me as she can't tell me how to improve myself if she refuses to improve herself. And that client would be absolutely right. Working through the trigger is the other option. So when I get the trigger, I have the emotional response, I cut myself from reacting to it, stop myself from reacting to it. Even if I got to bite my tongue in half, I will stop myself from reacting to it. And then I will go down the rabbit hole to understand where this is coming from. And when I understand that it comes from, say, getting all my hair chopped off when I was a kid as a punishment. That's why it's always going to be long locks, guys. As a punishment, then I understand that what this person is currently saying to me is not the same thing. And I can separate the two. So I separate my feelings from the trigger. And then later on, I will work through, accept the fact that my hair was chopped off, let that go and release it. Know that I have complete control over that. Nobody else does, anymore. Even to the point of separating myself from, say, future issues with my hair falling out or cancer issues or things like that, right? This is no longer a trigger for me because I've accepted it and I've released it. I buried it in the past so that it's not something that is ruling me anymore. That's the whole point. So even having to go through circumstances where I could lose my hair will probably not be reacted to in the exact same way as they could have been if I was still holding on to that trigger. So that is a little bit of a difficulty there, but the sun's trine with Pluto, I'm sorry, the moon's trine with Pluto is helpful because it's showing you how your emotions change the way you talk to yourself. And sort of also shed some light on how you actually have control over that. Even though the automatic voice seems to be automatic all the time, that doesn't mean that you can't tell that voice how you want it to speak to you every single time it comes up with the negative self-talk, if that makes sense. So that's actually coming in and helping you out a little bit. Luckily for you guys, this is not something that's going to last forever, but it is something that's going to last for the next couple of weeks. So specifically as we get into next week, where we have more of a moon influence coming in, you'll probably actually feel this a lot stronger at the beginning of next week than you will at the end of this week. So my advice is enjoy your smaller triggers at the beginning of the week and save your really getting frustrated until the end of the week, as much as you possibly can. It will help because you're maintaining your energy to deal with the big fight instead of the little ones, if that makes sense. And that's what I have for you guys this week. If you love your horoscopes, do click the link in the description and send me a copy. I would love it. I'm Melissa Bruce, a heavy metal psychic. Thank you for watching this week. I will see you guys next week. And hey, you guys make it a great week, everybody. Have a good one. I will see you next week.